Harry Potter gave us brave wizards, dangerous villains, and unforgettable adventures inside Hogwarts. But 25 years later, the real lives of its cast became even more chaotic than fans ever imagined. From shocking withdrawals in the 2026 remake to unexpected deaths, you won't believe what these stars have been through. Join us as we uncover the truth and honor the legacies they left behind. Rupert Grint as Ron Weasley. The moment Rupert Grint appeared on screen at 12 years old as Ron Weasley, he instantly felt like the nervous best friend every kid wished they had at Hogwarts. Ron was clumsy, funny, constantly overshadowed by his brothers, yet somehow became the emotional heart of the trio. Rupert's awkward charm made even Ron's fear and insecurity feel lovable instead of weak. Rupert Grint was born on August 24, 1988, in Harlow, Essex, England, but the shy boy became a quiet real estate millionaire. While Ron Weasley spent his childhood surrounded by broken furniture and second-hand clothes, Rupert secretly built a property empire worth millions through several housing companies across Hertfordshire and London. Fans were stunned again when British tax authorities dragged him into court over a massive £1.8 million tax dispute connected to Harry Potter earnings. Around the same time, Rupert completely abandoned Ron's comedic image and moved into dark psychological horror projects like Servant, where his unsettling performances shocked critics who never imagined him capable of playing such disturbing roles. By 2026, Rupert Grint is 37 years old and living quietly in England with actress Georgia Groom and their two daughters, Wednesday and Goldie. After spending years struggling with anxiety and feeling trapped by the Ron Weasley image, he slowly stepped away from Hollywood attention and built a far more private life focused on family. He recently surprised fans again after personally writing a heartfelt letter to the new young actor cast as Ron Weasley, calling it his way of passing the wand to the next generation. Robbie Coltrane as Rubeus Hagrid. Towering over everyone with tangled hair, a giant beard, and a voice full of warmth, Robbie Coltrane stepped into Hogwarts at 51 years old as Rubeus Hagrid, the gentle half-giant who loved dangerous creatures more than most humans. Hagrid felt like the first real home Harry Potter ever had, and Robbie's kindness made the character impossible not to love. Behind all the humor and giant hugs, though, was a man who had spent years fighting chaos inside his own life. Robbie Coltrane was born on March 30th, 1950, in Rutherglen, Scotland, and long before Harry Potter transformed his image, he was known for wild drinking, violent bar fights, and deeply self-destructive behavior. He was frighteningly unpredictable when intoxicated, capable of drinking enormous amounts of alcohol while spiraling into angry outbursts. As he grew older, another battle slowly consumed him. Severe osteoarthritis destroyed the cartilage in his knees and left him trapped in constant pain, forcing him into a wheelchair during the later years of his life. By the end, even walking had become agonizing, and he slowly disappeared from public life almost entirely. Robbie Coltrane passed away on October 14, 2022, at the age of 72, due to multiple organ failure and severe respiratory complications. His final years were spent living quietly inside a converted barn house in rural Scotland, far away from Hollywood and media attention. Fans were heartbroken seeing him appear one last time during the Harry Potter 20th anniversary reunion in 2022, where his emotional goodbye suddenly felt less like a reunion and more like a farewell to an entire generation. Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter. Daniel Radcliffe was just 11 years old when he first appeared as Harry Potter, the lonely boy hidden beneath a staircase who slowly became the face of an entire generation. As the films grew darker, Harry carried more grief, anger, and exhaustion on his shoulders, and by the final movie, Daniel's tired eyes made the character feel frighteningly real. Daniel Radcliffe was born on July 23, 1989, in London, England. But the little wizard audiences remembered is almost impossible to recognize today. After years of struggling with alcohol during the final Harry Potter films, Daniel completely transformed his life and threw his obsessive personality into brutal gym training instead. Fans were stunned when the once skinny boy wizard suddenly appeared covered in muscle, screaming shirtless while tearing robots apart in Miracle Workers. At the same time, he quietly proved himself on Broadway, moving further and further away from the Harry Potter image that nearly consumed him. In 2026, Daniel Radcliffe is 37 years old and living in New York with actress Erin Dark and their son born in 2023. He has remained sober since 2010 and now keeps his life far more private than most former child stars. His performance in Every Brilliant Thing became one of the biggest theater surprises of 2026, showing an actor who no longer needed magic or special effects to completely control a room. Alan Rickman as Severus Snape. A single cold stare and one slow drawl of Potter were enough to silence an entire classroom when Alan Rickman stepped into Hogwarts at 55 years old as Severus Snape. Hidden beneath the black robes and bitter sarcasm was a man carrying heartbreak, loyalty, and a secret love story nobody understood until the very end. Alan played Snape with such quiet pain that the character slowly became one of the most tragic figures in the entire franchise. Alan Rickman was born on February 21, 1946, in London, England, and the truth behind his Harry Potter journey turned out to be far darker than fans imagined. His private diaries later revealed that he often felt frustrated and creatively trapped while making the films, even trying to leave the franchise after Chamber of Secrets because he believed Snape had become repetitive and lifeless. Everything changed after J.K. Rowling secretly told him the truth about Snape loving Lily and dying a hero, convincing him to stay. Years later, while filming the final movies, Alan was secretly battling pancreatic cancer and enduring severe physical pain without telling most of the young cast. He kept filming quietly, refusing to let the illness interrupt the story he had chosen to finish. Alan Rickman passed away on January 14, 2016, at the age of 69 after a battle with pancreatic cancer. His death devastated audiences around the world, and many fans still consider him impossible to replace. In 2026, his name suddenly returned to the center of online debate after HBO announced actor Papa Essiedu would play Snape in the upcoming Harry Potter remake series. The backlash exploded instantly, with countless fans insisting that Alan Rickman's voice, presence, and emotional depth belonged to Severus Snape alone. Evanna Lynch as Luna Lovegood. Dreamy eyes, strange whispers, and an almost ghost-like calm made Evanna Lynch unforgettable when she entered Harry Potter at 14 years old as Luna Lovegood, the eccentric Ravenclaw student who always seemed disconnected from reality. Luna spoke softly, believed in impossible creatures, and often felt isolated from everyone around her. Yet her kindness and honesty slowly made her one of the most beloved characters in the franchise. Evanna Lynch was born on August 16, 1991, in County Louth, Ireland, and her real story became even more emotional than Luna's. At just 11 years old, Evanna nearly died while battling severe anorexia and spent months hospitalized in critical condition. During that period, she began exchanging letters with J.K. Rowling, who encouraged her to keep fighting and eventually inspired her to audition for Luna Lovegood. Years later, fans were shocked seeing how dramatically Evanna transformed again in adulthood. She cut off Luna's signature blonde hair, dyed it dark, and stepped into much darker roles, including the manipulative social media-obsessed character Dora in the black comedy Influenced. At the same time, she became an outspoken vegan activist, fiercely attacking the meat industry and animal cruelty through her podcasts, The Chick Peeps and Just Beings, with a confidence completely different from Luna's fragile voice. By 2026, Evanna Lynch is 34 years old and continuing to rebuild her identity far beyond Harry Potter. She co-runs the vegan beauty company Kinder Beauty Box, while also expanding her career into voice acting after Disney announced her involvement in the anime-inspired fantasy series Dragon Striker. Her memoir, The Opposite of Butterfly Hunting, also revealed the full psychological scars left behind by her eating disorder and became one of the most personal stories ever shared by a Harry Potter actor. Richard Harris as Albus Dumbledore. Richard Harris was 70 years old when he played Albus Dumbledore, the wise headmaster of Hogwarts. With long silver hair, half-moon glasses, and that calm grandfatherly voice, Dumbledore made Harry feel protected even in the darkest moments. What made audiences even more shocked later was discovering how wildly different Richard Harris had been in real life. Richard Harris was born on October 1, 1930 in Limerick, Ireland, and he reportedly rejected the role of Dumbledore 3 separate times because he hated the idea of being trapped inside a long commercial franchise. Everything changed after his 11-year-old granddaughter threatened to never speak to him again if he refused the part. Behind the warm image audiences saw on screen was a man with a shocking past filled with alcoholism, drug abuse, and chaotic behavior. Richard nearly died from a cocaine overdose and became infamous for outrageous drunken stunts, including once faking a heart attack in a London bar to escape paying a massive alcohol bill. His personal life collapsed just as dramatically, leading to 2 painful divorces that he later described as the greatest failures of his entire life. Richard Harris passed away on October 25, 2002, at the age of 72 after battling Hodgkin's lymphoma. His death came only weeks before Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets premiered, devastating fans around the world. During his final days in the hospital, he reportedly still promised his granddaughter he would return for the 3rd film, a promise he never had the chance to keep. Today, his legacy continues through the Richard Harris estate, which recently helped fund a major legal battle to protect Ireland's famous Kilkee Cliff Walk, a place Richard deeply loved during his lifetime. Tom Felton as Draco Malfoy. Tom Felton was only 13 years old when he turned Draco Malfoy into the face of pure arrogance inside Hogwarts, always appearing with icy eyes, perfectly combed blonde hair, and a voice dripping with contempt. Draco bullied, mocked, and terrified other students for years, yet underneath all that cruelty was a frightened boy slowly collapsing under pressure. That hidden vulnerability was what made Tom's performance unforgettable. Tom Felton was born on September 22, 1987, in Epsom, Surrey, England, and his real teenage years became far more chaotic than anyone around Harry Potter realized. Not long after the first film exploded worldwide, Tom was caught shoplifting an adult DVD from a store and later got arrested for marijuana possession, leaving him terrified he would lose everything. As he grew older, the pressure only worsened. After moving to Los Angeles, he spiraled into severe alcoholism and eventually entered rehab 3 different times. One clinic threw him out after he snuck into another patient's room, while another lasted barely a single day before he ran away completely. Fans were shocked years later when Tom openly admitted how badly fame, loneliness, and rejection had damaged him behind the scenes. By 2026, Tom Felton is 38 years old and still living a far quieter life than many expected from a former Hollywood franchise star. After years of struggling to escape the Draco Malfoy image, he slowly rebuilt himself through writing, music, and smaller acting projects instead of blockbuster fame. He remains single following the end of his long relationship with Jade Gordon, and much of his time now seems focused on protecting his sobriety and finding stability after years of chaos. Maggie Smith as Minerva McGonagall. Wrapped in emerald robes and carrying that sharp, commanding stare, Maggie Smith entered Hogwarts at 66 years old as Professor Minerva McGonagall, the strict teacher who could silence an entire room with a single glance. Beneath McGonagall's discipline, though, was quiet compassion and fierce loyalty, and Maggie brought both qualities to the role with extraordinary grace. Maggie Smith was born on December 28, 1934, in Ilford, Essex, England, and the strength she showed behind the scenes became even more remarkable than anything audiences saw on screen. During the filming of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, she was secretly battling breast cancer while enduring exhausting chemotherapy treatments. At 74 years old, she continued arriving on set despite severe nausea, weakness, and constant pain, hiding her suffering beneath wigs and wizard robes so the younger actors would not become frightened or distracted. Fans were equally stunned years later after learning how turbulent her real love life had once been, including a scandalous affair with playwright Beverly Cross that completely shattered the elegant image many people associated with her. Maggie Smith passed away peacefully in London on September 27, 2024, at the age of 89, due to complications related to old age and declining health. Her death marked the loss of one of Britain's greatest actresses, whose career stretched far beyond Harry Potter through legendary performances in films like The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie and the beloved series Downton Abbey. Emma Watson as Hermione Granger. With an armful of books and a stare sharper than most adults around her, Emma Watson entered Hogwarts at only 10 years old as Hermione Granger, the brilliant girl constantly saving Harry and Ron from disaster. Hermione became the calm center of the entire story, and Emma's intelligent, intense energy made millions of viewers believe she was exactly the same in real life. Emma Watson was born on April 15, 1990, in Paris, France. Yet the woman she became surprised almost everyone. Instead of chasing Hollywood fame forever, Emma slowly disappeared from blockbuster films and walked away from the spotlight almost entirely. She later admitted she had grown tired of living under that image and envied celebrities who were free to make mistakes without being judged. Her time at Brown University became so emotionally exhausting from constant Harry Potter jokes and public attention that she eventually left America and returned to England. By 2026, Emma Watson is 36 years old and living a much quieter life while studying for a PhD in literature at Oxford University. She also helps run the luxury gin company Renaissance with her brother Alex Watson, choosing business and education over giant movie franchises. Even now, rumors constantly spread that she secretly retired from acting, but Emma seems far more interested in protecting her peace than returning to the exhausting fame that followed her since childhood. Helena Bonham Carter as Bellatrix Lestrange. The moment Bellatrix Lestrange appeared on screen, laughing wildly with tangled black hair and eyes full of madness, Helena Bonham Carter completely changed the energy of Harry Potter at 40 years old. Bellatrix was Voldemort's most loyal follower, a witch who treated torture and murder almost like games, and Helena's chaotic performance made her feel terrifying in a way few fantasy villains ever achieve. Helena Bonham Carter was born on May 26, 1966, in London, England, and even away from Harry Potter, chaos seemed to follow her career constantly. In early 2026, she shocked Hollywood after suddenly walking away from HBO's The White Lotus Season 4. Only days after filming began in the French Riviera. Reports claimed Helena clashed heavily with creator Mike White over how her character should be performed, while online rumors exploded with stories about heated arguments behind the scenes. HBO eventually removed her role entirely and rewrote the series with Laura Dern instead. Around the same time, Helena was also dominating Netflix with her praised performance in Agatha Christie's 7 Dials, proving she could still completely command audiences decades after Harry Potter. By 2026, Helena Bonham Carter is 60 years old and still one of Britain's most unpredictable actresses. Following her painful breakup with director Tim Burton after 13 years together, she admitted struggling emotionally and needing therapy to recover from the separation. She is currently working on the Gothic film The Noble House of Black and the psychological drama The Housekeeper alongside Pierce Brosnan while continuing to embrace the eccentric image that has defined her entire career. Gary Oldman as Sirius Black. Gary Oldman was already 46 years old when he stormed into Harry Potter as Sirius Black, Harry Potter's rebellious godfather who escaped prison after years of torture inside Azkaban. Sirius felt dangerous, unpredictable, and broken from the moment he appeared, yet beneath all the rage was a man desperately trying to protect the last connection he had left to his best friend James Potter. Gary brought a wild, haunted energy to the role that made Sirius unforgettable almost instantly. Gary Oldman was born on March 21, 1958, in London, England, and his real life became almost as chaotic as the tortured man he played on screen. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Gary spiraled into severe alcoholism, later admitting he could drink 2 bottles of liquor a day and often blacked out completely. In 1991, police arrested him in Los Angeles for drunk driving, a moment that finally pushed him toward rehab and sobriety. His personal life remained turbulent for years afterward, especially after his ex-wife Donna Fiorentino publicly accused him of abuse during their divorce battle. The accusations exploded across tabloids and severely damaged his reputation until the court dismissed the claims and awarded Gary custody of their children. Years later, even his own son publicly defended him when the scandal resurfaced around his Oscar win. By 2026, Gary Oldman is 68 years old and experiencing one of the strongest periods of his career once again. Critics praised him heavily for returning to the London stage after nearly 4 decades to direct and perform alone in Krapp's last tape at the Royal Court Theatre. At the same time, he continues receiving acclaim for playing the filthy, exhausted spy Jackson Lamb in Season 5 of Slow Horses. After decades of addiction, scandals, and public collapse, Gary has somehow rebuilt himself into one of the most respected actors of his generation. Helen McCrory as Narcissa Malfoy. Helen McCrory joined Harry Potter at 40 years old as Narcissa Malfoy, Draco Malfoy's cold and elegant mother who would eventually betray Voldemort to save her son's life. Narcissa rarely raised her voice or used violence, yet Helen made every scene feel tense through pure emotion and quiet fear hidden beneath her calm face. Helen McCrory was born on August 17, 1968, in London, England, and her story inside Harry Potter became far more emotional than fans realized. She was originally chosen to play Bellatrix Lestrange, but lost the role after becoming pregnant shortly before filming began. Years later, she returned as Narcissa Malfoy instead, and quietly became one of the emotional hearts of the Malfoy family storyline. Off-screen, Helen was secretly battling breast cancer while continuing to work, hiding the illness from almost everyone around her, including many close co-workers. Helen McCrory passed away on April 16, 2021, at the age of 52 after battling breast cancer. She died peacefully at home beside her husband Damian Lewis after keeping her illness hidden until the very end. In 2026, fans began discussing her legacy again after HBO admitted how difficult it would be to find another actress capable of bringing the same elegance and emotional depth to Narcissa Malfoy in the upcoming remake series. Jason Isaacs as Lucius Malfoy. With his long white hair and snake-headed cane, Jason Isaacs entered Harry Potter at 39 years old as Lucius Malfoy, Draco Malfoy's wealthy and cruel father who served Voldemort while controlling his family through fear and intimidation. Jason made Lucius feel dangerous without needing to shout, turning him into one of the most memorable adult villains in the entire franchise. Jason Isaacs was born on June 6, 1963, in Liverpool, England, but his real life had once become far darker than the controlled image audiences saw on screen. He later admitted he spent nearly 20 years addicted to drugs and alcohol after falling into substance abuse as a teenager. Jason confessed there was a time when every part of his day revolved around finding drugs, and he genuinely believed his life was beyond repair. Around the same period, he also endured years of harassment from a dangerous stalker who repeatedly threatened and terrified him. By 2026, Jason Isaacs is 63 years old and still actively acting while maintaining the sobriety he fought hard to achieve. Earlier this year, fans were shocked and emotional seeing him publicly reunite with Lox Pratt and support Johnny Flynn as the new generation of the Malfoy family. He is currently working on the films Heavyweight and Victorian Psycho while continuing to speak openly about addiction, recovery, and survival. David Thewlis as Remus Lupin. Tired eyes, worn-out clothes, and a quiet voice hiding years of pain. David Thewlis stepped into Harry Potter at 41 years old as Remus Lupin, the gentle professor secretly cursed to become a werewolf every month. Lupin was kind, intelligent, and deeply lonely, carrying the feeling of a man who never truly believed he deserved happiness. David played him with such sadness and warmth that many fans still consider Lupin the emotional soul of the later films. David Thewlis was born on March 20th, 1963, in Blackpool, England, and his younger years looked nothing like the calm professor audiences remember. As a teenager, he played guitar in a chaotic punk rock band called Door 66, screaming through underground clubs with messy hair, ripped leather jackets, and a rebellious attitude that felt completely opposite to Lupin's quiet wisdom. Years later, after struggling through a painful separation from actress Anna Friel and feeling trapped in strange, eccentric roles, David shocked audiences again in 2026 after Channel 4 announced he would play a terrifying psychopath named Trevor in the dark thriller Wrong Move. Early reactions claimed the role was so disturbing it completely erased the gentle image of Professor Lupin from viewers' minds. By 2026, David Thewlis is 63 years old and living a far more private life away from major Hollywood attention. He has remarried, spends much of his time writing novels, and carefully chooses darker, stranger acting roles instead of mainstream projects. Even now, many fans remain stunned by how far the quiet professor from Hogwarts has transformed into one of Britain's most unsettling character actors. Matthew Lewis as Neville Longbottom. Nobody inside Hogwarts seemed to believe in Neville Longbottom at first, and that was exactly why Matthew Lewis made the character so memorable after joining Harry Potter at just 12 years old. Neville was awkward, nervous, constantly forgetting spells, yet somewhere underneath all that fear was the courage of a future hero. Watching him slowly grow stronger across the films became one of the most emotional transformations in the entire franchise. Matthew Lewis was born on June 27, 1989, in Leeds, England, and his life after Harry Potter surprised audiences almost as much as Neville's transformation did. During the films, Matthew struggled badly with insecurity after being mocked for his appearance, fake teeth, and heavier weight, leaving him deeply self-conscious for years. In adulthood, he shocked fans with a dramatic physical transformation and later built an entirely different public image through crime dramas and sports media. In 2026, he gained major attention starring as priest investigator Canon Clement in the dark mystery series Murder Before Evensong, while also becoming one of the leading voices behind the football podcast Doing a Leeds. Fans were stunned seeing the nervous boy from Hogwarts suddenly speaking like a confident sports analyst, discussing football tactics and club politics. By 2026, Matthew Lewis is 37 years old and married to Angela Jones after their wedding in 2018. Earlier this year, he also triggered a massive online backlash against Air Canada after publicly attacking the airline for downgrading his first-class seat without explanation. Instead of staying silent, Matthew openly accused major airlines of greed and disrespect toward customers, earning huge support online. Even now, many fans still seem shocked by how far Neville Longbottom evolved after Hogwarts ended. Bonnie Wright as Ginny Weasley. Bonnie Wright grew up on screen at only 10 years old as Ginny Weasley, the shy younger sister of Ron Weasley, who slowly evolved into Harry Potter's fearless future wife. Ginny began the story as a quiet girl hiding behind her brothers, but by the final films, she had become one of Hogwarts' strongest fighters during the war against Voldemort. Bonnie Wright was born on February 17, 1991, in London, England, but her journey after Harry Potter moved far away from blockbuster fame. While many fans criticized her harshly for not matching the fiery version of Ginny from the original books, Bonnie quietly stepped away from mainstream acting and focused instead on filmmaking. She graduated from the London College of Communication with a degree in directing and screenwriting before launching her own production company, Bonbon Lumiere. Rather than chasing celebrity culture, Bonnie became deeply involved in environmental activism through Greenpeace, often appearing makeup-free while cleaning beaches, protesting against oil companies, and promoting sustainable living through her best-selling book, Go Gently. By 2026, Bonnie Wright is 35 years old and living in the United States with her husband Andrew Lococo and their young son, Elio Ocean. Earlier this year, she excited fans after announcing she was pregnant with her second child while continuing to travel internationally for Harry Potter anniversary events and conventions. So, that's the Harry Potter cast after 25 years. Some found peace, some lost painful battles, and others are still trying to escape the shadows of Hogwarts even today. Which Harry Potter actor's real-life story shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and return for more untold Hollywood stories.